There's just energy. There's nothing else. And what arises in life is something that thinks that life is happening to it. So the me arises and feels that it is separate from life, or that life is something else that's happening to it. Life is happening to me. So somehow the separate individual is in some way or other one step away from life, is aware of life happening, is already apart from life, and feels as though there's something that's a veil between itself and life. It feels as though it's a centre, it's an energy centre, and life happens to it, comes to it and happens to it. It experiences life, it's aware of life happening. It's no longer just life, it's me and life. And so the difficulty or the dilemma for the me is that somehow this sense of life happening brings the feeling that life isn't fulfilling. It's somehow distant, it's somehow away, it's not full, it's not passionate, it's not innocent anymore. It has a purpose. There's a feeling in the me that life must have a purpose. I must have a purpose. I must be on a journey somewhere. I live in time. I live in space. There's a space between me and life. There's a time in which I should learn about what life is about. There's also a sense that I should make my life work, or make life work, make my life work. I have a life. I own life, so I must make life work. I must make a lot of money, or have lots of lovers, or whatever. Have lots of power, get lots of attention, or become a professional victim. Whatever way I feel I can get what I want, I'll try and do that. So there's a sense that in a way there's someone now who can make life work for them. I'm going to make my life work. So they're taught how to make their life work. We live in a world which is all about me, and all about me making my life work. It's about success and failure. But for a lot of people this is not the answer. For some people this is not the answer. Somewhere there's something deeper. And so people look in all sorts of ways at a deeper answer to why life isn't fulfilling, or why making my life work is still disappointing. And so they look for some answer, but still for themselves, because there's an energetic vortex here, because there's something that gathers in everything to me. Then the seeker looks for something that will satisfy me, something that will satisfy the seeker. So all spiritual seeking is a sort of materialism. Spiritual seeking is like being a banker or a businessman. It's still gathering something in for me, even though it seems to be much more beautiful and holy. It still in the end is about self-satisfaction. So what we're talking about here is something completely different. This whole message, which is no one's message and comes from no one, has nothing to do with Tony Parsons or anyone. This whole message has always been available. It's prior to all teaching. It isn't a teaching. It's not telling somebody how to. It was the initiation. It was initially there when, in the very early days when man's brain developed and became sophisticated, somebody said to somebody else, "Who am I? What is this?" And they got no answer. There was no answer. Because there is no answer. But then, as the world became sophisticated, suddenly other people who'd asked that question thought they had the answer. So when somebody asked them, "Who am I and what is this about?" they said, "You're a Christian. You should become a Christian, a Buddhist, or you should meditate, or you should kill your ego." So we now have a whole mass of ideas about the answer to who am I, or the answer to the meaning of life. We have, you go anywhere in the world and there's a million answers and a million explanations about what life means. But right throughout the whole apparent history of seeking, this message has always been communicated, because there's always been a readiness to hear this. Not by anyone. No person can hear this message. But there's always been a resonance. There's always been an openness to the possibility that there is no answer. There's always been an opening to the possibility that there's nothing to find. There's always been an opening to the possibility that nothing has ever been lost. And that's what this message is communicating. And it's always been available, because there's always, very rarely, but there's always been a readiness to hear this. And this message has always been hidden. You won't hear about this message in the history of mankind. It hasn't got a name, really. Non-duality in Advaita is just doesn't mean anything really compared to what's being communicated out of this message. It's beyond the idea of non-duality. It's beyond the idea of Advaita. You can't name this. It can't be named. It isn't a way. It's not an answer. It's not a recommendation. It's nothing. All that really this message does is to illuminate the utter hopelessness and futility of trying to find an answer. So in a sense, you could say the quality of this message is to be totally and utterly and ruthlessly destructive. This destroys all hope. And strangely, that's the only compassion. The only compassion is that which illuminates darkness. Wow.